right, we are live here with Willie Flowers at the plantation, I guess, the garden plantation. He's going to let us know. This is Naijha Wright-Brown. I am reporting for Naijha Speaks, and I'm so glad to be smelling this fresh air. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Willie, and what are we going to be doing today?
So I'm Willie Flowers, and I'm president of the Maryland State Conference, NAACP, but here in Howard County, I serve as the president of the branch. And as you know, as Naijha know, I run the Park Heights Community Health Alliance. And I learned there, started urban gardening there several years ago, and we brought it here to Howard County in the same idea of talking about and addressing food insecurity and just being advocates for healthy access to food and growing in small spaces. And as you know, the urban gardening thing is about how you can create high yield in small spaces. We have a little more space here on the, it's called the Freetown Farm on Harriet Tubman Lane.
Freetown Farm on Harriet. I was so happy to make that right on the Harriet Tubman Lane. I was like, oh, this is where it is.
All right. But like I said, this is a project of the Howard County branch of the NAACP. We, connected it through an environmental and climate justice grant. I'm going to introduce one of our co-chairs of the ECJ. And, so we took the grant, had this idea to start growing food. There's a tradition in Howard County of getting spaces of plots, but there's some equity issues in regard to that we're going to address. But the few people who do it are able to have access to healthy food. And what I have learned and observed from my concern about gardening, my concern about meatless families and this kind of deal is that all of the challenging health disparities that we have in the Black community, they don't know where the city limits end. So the Black folks who are dying of cancer and this kind of thing in the city, in the country, wherever, are dying of it in the suburbs. It's just where we are. It's how we handle stress, how we appreciate and hug the trees and all that. And there's no stigma behind that because there's been a stigma placed on who the tree huggers are and all that kind of thing. We, have traditionally stayed away, but there's a significant movement that I'm happy to be a part of that talks about locally grown food, talks about meatless meals, and talking about meeting our people where they are, so that we can build them up and show them the light. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's going to come along. I don't want to be the Pied Piper of this, but the reality is we all play a role. And I guess one policy practice that I have is not just a practice politically, all this, but it's a spiritual practice. It's when I know something, I share it. When I see people who are doing beautiful things, I promote them. And that's just a value that I think that is a part of our culture that when we all have all these other distractions, we don't get to what we're supposed to be doing. So that's kind of the intro. But like I said, we are here. And this site is owned by the Community Ecology Institute. And we have a couple of plots here. And we're going to show you what we're doing now. We produce probably 50 or 60, probably, I don't know. We produced a lot of food this past year. We had a lot of fun. We brought people together. It's called the George Washington Carver Growing Food Together CSA. And it means more than just getting food, but how we introduce and teach people about food. And more importantly, the most important thing I like is that when people feel what the earth calling them back, they come back. And I also say that when they hear the ancestors speaking to them, they come back. And what we're doing here is consistent with every principle of Kwanzaa. And that makes me happier than anything. So I want to introduce Jansen Evelyn and also Salah. Assalamu alaikum. And
hello.
And they're all a part of the members of the CSA. They've been working on the garden the entire summer, spring and summer.
Okay, so best tips for fall planting. What are we going to be looking at today?
We're looking at some garlic.
Garlic,
we're okay. See sweet potatoes already.
Okay. What are some of the good vegetables that can be planted in the fall?
So when it comes to the spring and the fall, a lot of people don't realize that Maryland is zone 6. And so you actually have 3 growing seasons here in Maryland. Specifically, in the cool season, spring, which actually goes from early March until around late May, and then the fall, late August, September, up until now, even beyond. That's when you can plant the cool season vegetables like lettuce, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens. Those are the things that can go in the ground. And then
you can see that little bed of lettuce right there.
Oh yeah, let's take a look
Like
at
a whole bunch of different types of lettuce all over there.
Okay, so we're gonna be looking at some lettuce here. Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
these are things that are going to keep popping and growing until we get like a couple of killing frosts. We even have things like spinach and kale and Swiss chard. They can survive killing frost. But what a lot of people don't realize, and he just brought to the garden, something that many people don't know is garlic. These same bulbs of garlic, you plant them mid to late October, even early November, and then you harvest them in, I would probably say around June, July next year. So this is something that is great to overwinter a fall bed to make sure that it keeps growing, that the soil keeps working. It's just like our bodies. The soil needs to exercise as well. And garlic is one way to continue to help the soil get that exercise and get nutrients growing.
We planted some elephant garlic in that patch right there.
Right here? With the yellow flowers?
No, that big empty.
Oh, this lumpy lot. Okay.
That was planted last week.
Okay.
You can still have the potatoes and the
Okay. What is the gentleman doing back there?
He's tilling an area that we kind of didn't use this year.
Okay.
We want to get it started for next year.
Okay.
And what you do now is you till it so that when the weeds stop growing so much in the winter, you can even do a cover crop so that in the spring, where we had a lot of tomatoes and peppers like this, you still see the peppers growing. See the Tabasco peppers?
Oh yeah.
They're still working right now. But
someone says they love this. Yeah, Giovanni, that's what we're doing here. Giving this to the people. They love it. Awesome.
And so what we'll do next year is you don't plant tomatoes and peppers in the same space you planted it the year before. You constantly rotate it. And so that's why we can utilize this additional space that he's tilling right now to bring some tomatoes, bring some peppers. And what we've done is we've actually kept some of the seeds because I'm such a geek when it comes to this stuff that I actually grow a lot of my pepper plants and tomato plants from seeds.
Around here.
Oh yeah, that's important. Gotta love the king.
What we have with the sweet potato.
Okay, sweet potatoes. Oh yeah, that's my favorite. Sweet potatoes. Over here.
Now usually you would wait until the tips get like brownish or yellowish or what have you. But now we're trying to figure out, like we're trying to beat the frost.
Okay, beat the frost. Yep.
Yeah,
what happens when the frost comes?
Well, like there's an African thing, so they like heat and sun.
Okay.
And the frost, they don't like that at all.
All right.
So
this is beautiful. How many how much room, how much, I don't know how you call it, is it acres or room, how much?
Kind of a quarter of an acre.
A quarter of an acre. Okay.
And the other space that we have is also a little bit larger than a quarter of an acre.
Okay.
Additionally, what Willie's little backstory, what we've done this year, a church that I attend, they heard about what we were doing over here at the George Washington Carver CSA. And the pastoral staff actually reached out to me and said, hey, we want to use our space to also expand. Because I was previously maintaining their garden there, their community garden. And what we did, Willie came out, some other members of the NAACP, and we told them if we really wanted to maximize growing, then we have to literally triple the space, which we did. And we brought in mushroom soil, compost, tilled it. And over there, we have a lot of the same things growing, like butter lettuce, radish, beets. And these things, a lot of our food goes over to this Columbia carrot.
What's that? That's kale back there?
Yeah. Yes.
I love kale. We eat dinosaur kale almost every day.
can see the bok choy.
Bok choy, kale. Okay, this is bok choy. Yeah, look at that. This is beautiful.
And this is you can tell you about the arugula.
Oh, right here. Right here.
Yeah,
Okay. I gotta learn my vegetables.
Take a bite.
Take a bite.
See how the peppery.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that was good, folks. I took a bite. Yes, I can taste the pepper. The mint. That's mint.
This is always my baby. Yeah, the African blue basil.
African blue basil, y'all.
I wish you could smell it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
How long has everyone been planting? Collectively or individually?
You mean like
Planting.
growing food?
Yeah.
Troy. Yeah, I'm from Alabama, so I've been close to earth all my life. And what's consistent with that, let me share this, is that all of the plants that I was introduced to, I didn't know this at the time, were elements of what came over. Our ancestors brought over on the ships, and I'm talking about purple hull peas, which we grew here, which were a staple of summers in Alabama, and okra that you'll see over here. We're growing okra.
That tall plant?
Right.
I was looking at that. I wanted to know what that was. The okra?
Sweet potato. Let me give you a little history on that.
Oh, you want me to talk about the okra?
I love okra.
So this is not Clemson spineless. This is like straight African okra, and it's a hard okra. And what happens is a lot of people don't realize that when people were brought over during the transatlantic slave trade, they kept rice grains, they put okra seeds, they put all types of seeds in their cornrows. So these hairstyles that for so long have been denigrated, these were hairstyles that kept our culture intact. And so we wanted to make sure that, one, we were teaching people about how so many of the crops, particularly tropical crops that we eat, whether it's pepper, okra, these are things that came over from like the west coast of Africa. And what's ironic is, because you asked us earlier how long we've been growing. I mean, he's from Troy, so he's been growing all his life. I'm originally from Barbados.
Oh, wow.
But when I came over to America, I spent most of my childhood and teenage years living in apartments. But then when I discovered the land, it was weird. It was like, it was reconnecting. It was like it was a part of our heritage that just reconnected, and all this stuff that I didn't know that I knew, it just came out. So I think that's, for me, I think that's for a lot of us, our motivation in doing this, because for so long you think this whole garden thing is something that, our liberal white friends and Birkenstocks do, but this is something that is ours. This is ours.
It's in us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And okra, for example, is so universal in the African diaspora. You have in New Orleans and Louisiana, you have gumbo, but what in the Caribbean we have cuckoo, which is made also from okra, which is a transplantation of an additional West African dish called fufu. And except we use the crops and the food sources that were available to us to continue keeping our food heritage alive. So this is part of the different motivations behind why we just jump knee deep into this.
And I do want to add that the church he spoke about is an Adventist church, and the significance, the cultural leverage there. And I was excited about it because I learned a long time ago that Adventist African Americans are the longest living African Americans. Yes. And that's because they have a meatless diet.
Yes.
And they rely heavily on vegetables, obviously. So the connection with them, I was excited about that for that reason. And I know that we can amplify those details.
This is great information. I'm glad. Where are we located here? The 8000 Harriet Tubman Lane. That's where we are with the Freetown Farm,
This
right?
is in Columbia,
Maryland. Columbia, Maryland. Yes.
This is the old school neighborhood called Simpsonville.
Okay. What are some most important tips when you're planting for the fall? I know we talked about the frost.
Well, yeah, you got to avoid the frost. Well, I don't know.
This is a flood zone area. I came in and it's a flood zone area.
Some places the frost is good.
Okay.
Like the frost literally tenderizes all the brassicas. So, the whole thing about greens being made tender by the frost, that's significant. It changes the flavor and it expands the palate. So it is good, but the reality is that it is a closing season. So some things you're taking out, other things you're putting in. What we're doing here today is one portion planting food for the next season, but the other piece is planting clover, for example, so that we can put nitrogen in the soil so that we can have a significant harvest next spring.
Okay.
So that's kind of the cycle. What's the Kuda Makata is?
Anyone watching, if you have any questions, please ask. It's a great time to ask.
And of course, man. Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
okay,
My name is Kamal Richardson.
Hi.
Is there anything else y'all want me to give him the introduction or whatever?
Yeah,
Freshman at Howard.
I'm a freshman at Howard Chemical Engineering major.
I got my Morgan shirt on. I didn't go to Morgan. My husband did. So.
That's so far the real issue.
So what do you want to show? What do y'all want to demo right now? So I saw the gentleman tilling. Are we going to plan anything right now?
You know what? I also want to bring up some of these things.
So back there, let's go.
Yeah,
You give me the tour.
Yeah, some of this stuff.
I'm looking at everything and it's beautiful.
Experimentally, to grow different things.
Our people grow. People grow.
Yeah, because if black people, we grow different things, we'll start eating different things.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm loving this. I'm loving this bok choy.
Yeah.
Bok choy, it only takes about.
It looks nice and healthy.
Yeah, it is. It's delicious too.
I know it is.
Yeah, Swiss
and this
chard,
right
I'm not a big fan of Swiss chard.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those.
Yeah, but I like it.
Do we say it's a bitter?
Yeah, it's nice looking. It's nice looking.
It's a bitter.
But I'm not.
It's actually if you saute that joint with garlic and some olive oil
it'll still taste like Swiss chard.
It's still bomb.
We have our favorites. Everyone has their favorites.
But the beauty of the Swiss chard is because I don't really like beets, but I eat them because they say beets are healthy for you.
Yeah, I don't like them either. It's got to be made a certain way.
But what I learned is that Swiss chard basically beets turned upside down. So in beets you have the energy in the roots, and the chard you have the energy in the leaves.
What are these here?
This is a Japanese giant red mustard green.
Oh wow, mustard green, Japanese giant red mustard. This is beautiful.
Yeah, this joint is good. I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah, listen, the sun. The sun will teach us.
Say that it's Japanese red mustard leaves. It's giant red mustard.
Okay, but they are different vegetables. Well, okay, someone has a question. Thanks, Virginia. What plants are you putting in the soil now for the spring?
We're putting in garlic. We're technically putting in red clover so that we can put nitrogen in the soil to plant again in the spring, because they're nitrogen feeders and they're nitrogen eaters, and so you don't want to plant plants that take nitrogen out of the soil again because you won't have a high yield. So what we're doing is putting plants. The red clover is going to overwinter, and it's going to increase the nitrogen in the soil. So whatever we put in there is going to blow up.
Okay.
But what I want to add about what we have planted for the fall, most of these are brassicas.
Okay.
They can withstand the change in the weather. And the significance about the brassicas, that's you mentioned the mustard. I've had pak choy. We have collards over there. We have the kale. And the significance about them is that they're nutrient rich. They fight cancer. And as you know, we are working on the Brassica Festival, and that was the theme of the Brassica Festival, to educate people about that word, but also to let them know that our experience has been full of collard greens, cabbage, all that. And while we were eating it, we were extending our lives as a people. Now, what has happened, to my disappointment, is that we have relied on what's coming out of a box.
Right.
So, and that's by, I ain't gonna say it's by plan.
It's by design.
But the reality is that the planning designs in particularly urban areas made it a challenge for us to have gardens in the neighborhood. Baltimore specifically, the planning department eliminated growing food and having animals for about 40 or 50 years.
Wow.
And so you got to look at that as a a step toward genocide when you don't allow people the independence to do what we're doing here today.
Right.
And like I said, these are all principles of Kwanzaa when you talk about your own self-determination, you're talking about cooperative collaboration and community. All of those pieces roll out when we do this because it ain't just us doing it. It's, you know, we had at least 50 or so families, or people in families participating with us.
And the best part is I would say the education. For me, I agree 100% with Willie. Like to me, this is revolution. We're rebelling against a system that was literally designed to keep us down. But deeper than that, or in terms of teaching the next generation, I've seen teenagers come here, and these are kids that are afraid of bugs, afraid of honeybees.
Yeah, my daughter was running from the bee. That's why she moved over. And I said, calm down, the bee's all right. Not
correct, because the bee
landed on my bracelet.
Yo, don't forget, you put her right by the honeybee.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is, the honeybees aren't going to bother you.
Okay.
These are pollinators that are necessary.
Yeah, it landed on my bracelet. It didn't do anything.
And it didn't do anything because for the bee to sting you, that means it's killing itself.
Right, exactly.
But then to see kids who are, whether they're urban, suburban, they just have this fear or unknown about gardening, to see them then out there gardening, to see them out there in nature. To me, these are all ways that we can, one, fight against the system, and then reconnect with our heritage that is literally ours.
Well, Virginia's loving it. She's new to gardening and she's getting a lot of information from this. And red clover, we answered your question, Virginia, about the ground cover crops. They were red clover. She was asking that question. Okay, great. All right. What are you going to show me?
Okay. So we got everything. We talked about the okra.
How about the road that we're piece of that pink Laguna if you want to.
Right here?
Yeah, I'm not gonna call it Japanese.
This one?
Yeah, I'm not gonna call it Japanese pink Laguna. Japanese pink Laguna. It's just pink Laguna. What do you think?
Oh yeah. Yep, it has a nice kick to it.
And this is Brassica also.
Mm-hmm.
And what you see here is an opportunity to expand it. As you recall, one of the themes of the Brassica Festival was multiple ways to prepare.
I missed the Brassica Fest.
I missed it
and
too.
The Vegan Soul Fest and the Keep It Fresh for all the fest. I missed them.
We're gonna be on the other side one day.
Okay.
So don't you start.
Okay, we're getting ready for something there. What
we're doing is just creating rows because again, there are different ways to do this. There are different techniques, believe it or not. There are the rows. There's also square foot planting.
Okay.
Which is with raised beds.
Yeah. So you're doing the rows.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to make sure. And the reason I mentioned raised beds, see here we're in Columbia, so we have a little bit more space. Where I was originally, I just used to use pots, terracotta pots, plastic pots, and little 3x3 raised beds. And so regardless of your space, if you have a patio, if you have a deck, you can literally plant the same stuff that we're growing and it'll grow over winter. For example, kale and Swiss chard, those things, you can keep cutting it back and it'll keep growing deep into the winter time.
Okay, I have an indoor patio with is struggling and challenged with sunlight.
Yeah,
what would be my best option to grow on my patio?
In terms of growing like foods?
Yes. It's hard, right?
It's going to be hard. I mean,
yeah, it's hard.
Is it warm though in the patio?
It can be very warm in the summer, very warm, and then freezing cold in the winter.
Yeah, well then you're gonna struggle, especially if you don't have any sunlight. But do you have a bat deck, anything that is getting some sun?
I mean, the patio gets a little bit of sun, but throughout the day, of course, the sun is moving. So I've been trying to figure out what we can do out there in the patio. It's enclosed.
What have you tried growing before?
Nothing.
Then you may have. You may be getting more sun than you may be getting more sun than you.
Some regular house plants with no food. In the summer, it can be really hot. It's so hot.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the summer. Okay, we'll try something in the summer.
Because you'll be surprised. Just as long as it's getting some light, you'll be surprised how much it grows. Like I have my own personal garden as well. And what I do is in the winter, I bring in my best growing Scotch bonnet pepper plant and let it overwinter. And it just, by the next year, it'll be like, 8 feet high.
I'm going to try something. I'm going to do some research and try something. She doesn't like okra. She likes kale, dinosaur kale. Dad makes a lot of dinosaur kale. This is great. I just want to see some. We got a couple of minutes now. You got to show me something.
These-
Oh, look at that. That's so cute.
You can bite into that.
Oh, look at that. You picked the okra.
Yeah, bite into it. I'll take it. You can show them. This is fancy.
I know that's next level. I also want.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love okra.
You wanna
love
add a pepper to it?
What?
Oh, that pepper's hot. Yeah, if you're not ready for that
Very
pepper,
good.
that pepper's
I
real.
love it. You want to try?
Huh?
I love it. I'm a big
Does she
okra
like
fan.
pepper?
No, yeah.
It's right
No
over
Over
there.
there, be careful. That pepper, that's hot pepper.
Spraying any pesticides?
You want to
or
see the hot pepper?
No, we don't do no pesticides out
Your
here.
daughter
what?
wants
This is
that.
really good.
Your daughter wants that hot
Listen.
pepper.
That's the fresh.
Yeah.
Let her get a bite.
We'll learn today.
No, I'm good at hot pepper. No.
You got.
But this is extremely
This is
hot.
really good.
This
I
is
love-
extremely
Yeah.
I
hot.
love
Okay.
this.
Did you get the flower that's on the
On the okra.
okra plant?
Yeah, not
So,
from this
you
angle. I
notice
got
how it
from
looks
behind.
like the hibiscus because they're the
Yes,
same family.
yes. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Wow. So the hibiscus flower and
then
the okra flower
okra.
is the same. This
So
is nice.
Who's gonna take a bite? You gonna take a
I'm
bite
not-
of the pepper?
I'll
that
take a little
Tabasco is
bite.
real.
No, I'm not. But no. That's Greg's thing. He'll do that.
That Tabasco is, but you can take some home. Though.
Okay, yeah.
That Tabasco
We'll take
is
some
real.
home. We'll take some home. What are some upcoming projects or on-site events that go on here now, if anything?
Well, this is, like I said, we're at the end of the season, but we are doing a food demonstration.
Campfire.
I saw that.
Yeah, we are doing a food demonstration with the branch, so we can pull you in on that. And it will be intentional about using the food that's here to promote meatless eating. So it's consistent with everything that we have worked on for years. And like I said, I have to applaud you for keeping this movement alive and serving in more than one way to expand it, because while we can't get everyone to immediately buy into, I guess, meatless lifestyles, it's important that we share the information. So, because there are more than enough negative realities about animal protein.
Right.
And but because our reliance on it, it takes more. And I think that you brought the term to me around being a reducitarian,
Yes.
which is one step toward being concerned about the significant over reliance on animal protein, which I
Right.
think that anybody can admit that it's a good thing to pull off from the table a little bit,
Right.
and increase it with some of this stuff.
Right.
So
We got to get the kids in the garden. Like, Pia has to get out more to the garden to help out, leave the video game going. What do we want to end with? Because this was a beautiful tour. My first time out here. And like I said, smell that good
So
fresh
you-
air and it's
you-
really
you
good.
got well, I mean, like I said, the this part of the season is really about prepping for. She got the
You gave me a
Wakanda.
Wakanda shirt?
Yeah,
Oh, too cute. You say thank you? Thank you. We got a
That's-
shirt for you too, Willie the
that's
plant pusher.
Wakanda University.
Oh,
Rest in
that's
peace,
right.
Chad.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's funny. A shirt for shirt. We got your plant pusher shirt too.
Yeah.
What do we want to leave with, Willie? I'm gonna put the camera on you, and then we're gonna end this.
Well, I think the most important thing is what we're trying to demonstrate here is wherever you are, there is some land. I don't care where you are. There's some land that you can commandeer. If you pull the community together to assist with it, I'm convinced that you can at least produce locally grown, chemical-free food. And you can.
Yeah, that tasted good because I've tasted
Right.
some vegetables and it's all pesticide. I'm like, oh my God, I can't
Right.
even eat this.
So now that you had that, you're going to taste it. you know?
Yeah, that was
So,
really good.
So the goal, we encourage, and everything that we've done here is to bring the skills of growing in small spaces that I learned in Baltimore City to this community, and to be concerned about our health outcomes as a people. It breaks my heart to know the number of people in my network who have died from preventable diseases. I'm not
Yes.
saying that, everybody's going to live forever. But while you're alive, you can be healthy enough and connected with a source, call it source, God, call it whatever, Mother Nature, because Mother Nature speaks to us. And I think that as long as we are distracted by electronics and all this kind of stuff, you're not going to hear it.
Right.
But if you come to this garden puts you into a space with our ancestors, and they transfer to us what we need to feel, what we need to hear in order to stabilize our community. So, and like I said, gardening is one way to do it. It's recreation for us. It's a networking community for us. And it's also a good way to get some good food. And I'm convinced that as long as we are here on this planet, we're going to need to eat.
Thank you for sharing, Virginia. She just shared this with a friend that lives out here. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the viewers. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to bring more to you. This is Naijha Wright-Brown. Go to bvsmd.org and opt in to get that 20 fresh salad recipe booklet. And thank you to our supporters.
So I didn't know about the book.
Yeah, you got to go on the site, bvsmd.org, Willie, bvsmd.org.
I'm telling you that arugula right there is fire.
Yeah. I had it. I just tasted it.
Arugula is my favorite,
And did we say what this one was, the red one? That's just the red lettuce, okay. Okay, yeah, because I was looking at that. That one stood out. This is awesome. We're going to be doing some more garden visits.
Butter lettuce.
Yeah, that's good. Awesome. But thanks for tuning in. I want to shout out our sponsors, the Welfare World, Veg Fund, Women Funders in Animal Rights, Eat the Change, and donors just like yourself. We appreciate your support. Enjoy the rest of your day.